Welcome, softball and baseball fans. This is 24/7 Diamond Talk, episode 8.
Got 4 cages, 2 pitching lanes, and then we've got a lot of workout equipment, fitness equipment, strength and conditioning. And we're finding that a lot of high school players are up there. They're getting their weightlifting done after school, and then they'll jump in the cage and get their reps in.
So, brought to you by our sponsors, 24/7 Ball Sports, Triple Fall Studio, and Hoist IV Level Hydration. Get it at Cup Foods. And Farmers Insurance, the Chris Willard Agency.
I know.
I'm Tom Richards. I'm here with my partner here, Matt Mangulis, and Steve Caron is our guest today. He is the tournament director for the Mankato Peppers. So welcome, Steve.
Thanks for having me,
Steve.
Yeah, we'll get to Steve with some questions a little bit about the upcoming tournaments and other stuff, but I think I'm going to start with a rundown. We're in the middle of the softball sections right now. We have the championship games coming up Thursday. So I'm just going to give you a long rundown of every game that happened in section 2A, 2AA, and 2AAA so far. So bear with me while I get through this. So section 2A, we're not going to talk scores. We're just going to get to the results. New Ulm Cathedral first round beat Martin Luther, Granada Huntley, East Chain, Truman. Red Rock Central beat Sleepy Eye St. Mary's. Sleepy Eye beat Nicollet. Springfield beat Martin MVL. USC beat Heron Lake, Okabena, Fulda. Cleveland beat Mountain Lake area, Comfrey. Madelia, our first upset, Madelia beat JWP. So Madelia was 11 seed, JWP was a 6 seed. Martin County West beat Glenville Emmons, Alden Conger. And then in the next round, New Ulm Cathedral beat Red Rock Central. Springfield beat Sleepy Eye. USC beat Cleveland. Martin County West beat Madelia. In the next round, the semifinals or winners bracket semifinals, Martin County West upset USC. So that was a big upset. After that, New Ulm Cathedral in the winners bracket final beat Martin County West. In the losers bracket, we had Sleepy Eye beat Red Rock Central, Westbrook Walnut Grove. Cleveland beat Madelia. USC beat Sleepy Eye. Springfield beat Cleveland. USC beat Springfield then. And then USC beat Martin County West in the rematch and got revenge for that earlier loss to advance to the finals Thursday night against New Ulm Cathedral. So we're going to have 22-2 United South Central against 22-1 New Ulm Cathedral. Number 2 seed USC versus number 1 seed New Ulm Cathedral, 5 o'clock at Caswell on Field 4. QRF ranks USC is number 2 in the state, New Ulm Cathedral is number 4. Moving on to Class 2AA. First round, we had TCU beat Blue Earth area, Fairmont beat Sibley East, LeSueur Henderson beat St. James, Jordan beat Medford, and then a little bit of an upset here. NRHEG, the 11 seed, beat our St. Clair Loyola Spartans in a high-scoring game, 17-10. St. Clair was Loyola was the 6 seed. They finished their season with a 10-7 record, but very respectable new coach there. So happy for that team to have a successful winning season. Maple River then beat Waterville Legion Morristown. And Belle Plaine beat Waseca in the first round. Second round, Lake Crystal Welcome Memorial, who had a bye, they beat TCU. LeSueur Henderson, slight upset, beat Fairmont 5-2. That's the 5 seed over the 4 seed. Jordan beat NRHEG, and Belle Plaine beat Maple River. Next round, LCWM beat LeSueur Henderson. Belle Plaine beat Jordan. In the winners bracket final, LCWM beat Belle Plaine 3-2 in a very good game. 3-0. I think Lake Crystal Welcome Memorial scored in the bottom of the 6th, 3 unearned runs. There was 2 outs and there was an error, and then they got some big hits after that to make it 3-0. And then Belle Plaine got two back in the top of 7th. The 2-run homer by Gopher commit Cameron Chard. But Avery Vogus pitched a heck of a game that night from LCWM. She was nibbling inside, then she went away after that and got rid of hitters, got ahead of them. They had some foul balls on her, but she just pitched great. And then also the pitcher for Belle Plaine, Sienna Bemmels, also had a great game as well with no unearned runs. So let's see how the loser bracket went. Fairmont beat TCU. Maple River beat NRHEG. Jordan beat Fairmont. LeSueur Henderson beat Maple River. Then Jordan beat LeSueur Henderson out. LeSueur Henderson ends their season 12-12 this year. Belle Plaine then beat Jordan to advance back to the championship game against Lake Crystal Welcome Memorial. So the 2 seed Belle Plaine versus the 1 seed LCWM on Field 2 at 5 o'clock Thursday. We have 22-3 record Belle Plaine versus 20-2 Lake Crystal Welcome Memorial. They've split their games this year. Or no, actually, Lake Crystal's beaten Belle Plaine twice, and Belle Plaine's beaten Lake Crystal once. QRF ranks Lake Crystal's number 2 and Belle Plains number 6. So that'll be a heck of a championship game. On to Section 2 AAA. Early round series. They did a totally different format this year with like the 4 through 7 seeds did a double elimination tournament the week prior up at Caswell, and the 1, 2, and 3 seeds had to wait until one person came out of that so they could have another 4-team double elimination tournament. So there was a chance for possible triple elimination for a team. Didn't happen that way, but new format. So the first rounds, Marshall beat Worthington, St. Peter beat Albert Lee, then Marshall beat St. Peter beat Worthington, and Marshall beat Albert Lee. So Marshall was undefeated, going 3-0 that week, and that advanced them into the championship bracket this past Saturday, where they faced New Ulm and lost a 1-0 game, a heartbreaker at the end. So really good game. They have a really good pitcher in Marshall. And then East beat West 6-2 in the third game of the year. So East has 2 wins over West now this year, and West has 1. And West, unfortunately, they finished their season at 15-7. So they had 3 good seniors on the team: Tori Emery, Maddie Bodie, Brooklyn Gertis. I coached them all at one time or another in the past, but really good players. Sad to see seniors have their last game. East then went on to beat New Ulm 10-0 in 6 innings, so avenge an earlier loss this year, a 1-run loss up at Mankato East earlier in the year. East got their swagger back after that game, like they had last year. They were 25-3 last year. This year, not quite as good. Right now, they're 16-6. But they really played about a perfect game against New Ulm. Kylan Stangl hit a home run in the first inning, and then she threw a 1-hitter in the 5-inning games. And New Ulm has a great pitcher, Ramsey Hopp, but just wasn't her day as it was the first time that they played. So then the losers bracket, New Ulm beat Marshall 1-0 again to advance back to the championship this coming Thursday. Number 2 seed Mankato East versus number 1 seed New Ulm. New Ulm will have to defeat Mankato East twice. New Ulm is 19-4 on the season, and they're the number 1 QRF team in the state. And East is ranked 5 in QRF. It can be done because they got the pitching, the coaching, the offense to do it. I have a hard time seeing Joe Madsen losing 2 games in back-to-back in a section. What about you, Matt?
Yeah, I think East.
He's got the experience for sure.
Definitely. And right now the momentum's on East side for sure. They're hitting well. They've faced New Ulm a couple times, so they know what to expect. I think if East comes out and pops like they did before, it's going to be East's game to lose. But yeah, it's going to be hard to beat East twice. There's no doubt about that. Yeah,
go for commit. Kylan Stangl again is the X factor in that game for them, and both offensively and defensively are on the pitcher mound. I mean, she's going to be tough to beat, as she proved last year during the sections, where she hit like 4 home runs and just pitched East all the way to the state tournament and then won the state tournament.
Right.
But I think we'll move on to our guest, Steve Caron. Again, welcome, Triple Falls Studio, Steve. Can you talk about your softball background, I guess, or before you got with the Peppers?
Well, before I became a Pepper and that, I was the head softball coach at Loyola.
Okay.
From 84 to 88.
All right.
So I started in there, and then in the 90s, my daughters got involved with the Peppers. My oldest one was playing with one of the teams, and then all 3 girls ended up getting involved. So in the 90s, I was on the board of the Peppers, and then I started doing some of the tournaments towards the end of the year, end of the 90s and that. Once my daughters all graduated in 2003, I was kind of done with softball and kind of let it go for a while, but Matt came and ran into me about 7 or 8 years ago and asked if I'd do the tournaments. I said, sure. So I've been doing the tournaments ever since.
Yeah, that was my next question. How long have you been in the current position as tournament director? And Matt was formerly on the Mankato Peppers, or MAGFA board, as I was. Neither one of us are right now currently, but so yeah, 7 or 8 years doing the tournament. Tournaments have grown a lot for us. I mean, for sure down there. So you're done a good job for sure.
Yeah, I got a story about that. I can remember when Steve first came on and we were doing tournaments, and we were, at that time, the Peppers tournaments were maybe 40 teams. That was a big tournament. And Steve pushed it, and we all supported that, grow these tournaments, get them bigger. It seemed like in those years past, you'd have 40, you get a rain out, and then the next year, the tournament would get out competed by another tournament, maybe up in the metro or something like that. And so we all kind of got behind Steve and that vision to grow these tournaments big enough to where it just is a legacy and it lasts longer. And Steve's did a great job with that. Steve was always good about reaching out to all the coaches, still does that, I'm sure. Everybody knows Steve around from Canada to even Australia.
Yeah.
Right. Some Australian teams in.
It's international now, our tournaments up there. So
Yeah, we had 2 Australian teams a few years back, and one took first and one took third in the 18U division. So that was really neat to have them there back when we had the Aussie Peppers playing.
One of those Aussies on that team is actually playing for Tennessee, Charlie.
no kidding.
Yeah, she's she's behind Carlin Pickens, but she's
All-American.
That's great. Yeah, to see that happen. But yeah, the tournament this year, we had the May Madness for the 10 and under and 12 and under. And we've had the most teams there, 32 this year. That was the biggest one we've had for them. It was up at Caswell Park. It went great. Had a little sprinkling, but nothing to stop the games.
May 18th and 19th. I think that was up there.
That was up there. We've got the Rising Star coming up. That's our B tournament for B-level teams. We try to keep the A's out of there. So I've got 48 teams coming for that.
Older teams,
Older
correct?
teams, yeah. It's 14, 16s, and 18 and unders at that tournament.
Well, thanks. We'll get back to you on another segment, and we'll go over to Peppers Classic and even the Fall Frenzy. I want to bring Matt in and ask him a little bit about the Port Lake Peppers and any news or update on them. They're getting ready to start their season. They're waiting for the state tournament to be done, but...
they won't start until the tournament's completely done. But that's coming up soon. We're talking 2 weeks, if that even. But we're looking for some players still. We were a little short this year on players. Started off with 10, and now we've had an injury, so we could use another player. Sounds like we found one, but could use another arm. So if anybody knows any pitchers out there, 16U, we're looking for a 16U pitcher. But we of course have some strong pitching there already.
You got some strong hitters as well.
And strong hitters. It's a good team, yeah, definitely. So you would join a great club. But that's kind of what's going on right now. They're getting ready to start practices and first tournament in Peoria, Illinois on some turf.
So your daughter Maddie, last segment, I think, or not last segment, but last episode, we talked about maybe that she had entered the transfer portal. She was at University of South Dakota. So any news on that?
Yeah. This episode probably come out in a couple days, but she just committed to Jackrabbits, South Dakota State.
That's why the shirt's on. I knew you went to college there.
I did go to college. I had all my Jackrabbit gear. So I was a diehard Jackrabbit fan, followed when they'd make the NCAA tournaments and college football, and they've had great teams. And then my daughter went to USD and I had to shelve or mothball my gear. So now I can get it back out again. But that just happened.
Well, congratulations, Madison, if you're watching. I doubt that you are, but maybe.
No, well, maybe she'll see it. But yeah, it was a big deal. I mean, it's a hard decision. Yeah. People don't realize when kids jump in the portal how hard the decision really is. You're leaving something you're familiar with. And so you've got that comfort maybe of where you're at, but maybe you don't fit for a certain reason and just made the jump. And it seems right now she's obviously really happy with where she landed, but it's unsettling not knowing where you're going to be.
Awesome. So we'll come back to Matt in a little bit. I got a few more questions for him on some other subjects, but I want to talk about how the Big Nine Conference ended in a 3-way tie. We had talked about that the last few episodes on where we were at, and everything was close. But anyway, East, West, and Winona all tied with the same record, 9-2. So with those titles that East and West won, since 1986, that's Mankato East's 20th title outright or shared, and it's Mankato West's 16th title outright or shared. And since 1986, East or West have won the conference in 33 out of 38 years, which is unbelievable. And since 1994, they've won it 27 out of 30 years. I know in recent years, I know Northfield won it once, and Faribault won it once, and now Winona's got a share of this is their second title this year when they won it. But so that's really good. So congrats to both the Scarlets and the Cougars for winning the conference again. Love to increase those stats every year when we talk about that. Also, congrats to All-Star Series players. These people will be playing in the state All-Star game the week after the state tournament, or no, the Sunday after the state tournament up at Caswell Park. Haley Petzel from East, Maddie Bodie from West, and Brooklyn Gertis from West. I don't have the full list of all the other surrounding towns, but I'll get that eventually, and we'll talk about that in a future episode. Now I want to go back to Steve a little bit and talk about the big daddy for us, which is the Peppers Classic coming up July 5th through the 7th.
Right.
Yeah. So how's that looking?
It's right after the 4th of July. I've got 112 teams registered. It's the biggest crowd we've ever had. I basically filled up on every age group. I could have a couple more. I've got a couple openings for 12 and under. That's about it. Otherwise, there basically was filled up by the end of January.
Wow.
So if you want to get on, the Peppers Classic is registered with USSSA.
Okay.
So you need to go to that website, get on there early. As soon as you get on there, get it all registered and get done, and you're in. This year we've got 24 teams at the 18 and under level, and they're going to be playing up in St. Peter at Jefferson Park.
Okay.
I've got 36 teams at Caswell Park for the 16 and under level. I've got 36 teams at Thomas Park with the 14 and unders. Okay. And I've got 16 teams at JC Park for the 12 and unders this year.
Yeah, no 10U for the Peppers
No
Classic.
10U for the Classic, no.
7-game guarantee still?
7-game
for
guarantee.
all age levels?
Every age level.
Yeah.
So Friday, Saturday, you'll play 5 pool games, either 3 one day, 2 the other day, or vice versa. And then you'll have 2 games on Sunday for sure.
So let me do the math here. St. Peter, we got 4 fields at Jefferson. Caswell has 6. That's 10. Thomas has 6.
At
That's
Thomas.
16.
Yep.
And JC has
3.
So 19 different fields.
Right.
People. Not a lot of tournaments in Minnesota, at least, are using 19 fields. And a whole bunch of these are fast pitch only fields, too.
Right.
And that's not even counting Caswell Park, which is a phenomenal facility in ballpark. It's great for tournaments. So that's awesome. How about umpires? Do we have enough umpires with that many teams and games? How many games is that? 300?
Oh, that's around 200 or more games.
Okay.
We need at least 60 to 70 umpires.
Okay.
On the 14, 16s, and 18, we put 2 umpires on every game. So that's why we need so many umpires. The 12 and unders, we still use 1 umpire except for the championship games. But yeah, that's a lot of umpires and a lot of hotel rooms in town. They're pretty well booked.
Any other new things happening at the Peppers Classic?
Well, we do have Bethany has that coaches clinic on the 4th of July.
Yep.
And I know we've got a few Canadian teams coming in for that, that they've signed up for that. We've got a few from Nebraska that have signed up for that. So they'll come in early to include that along with the rest of their week.
All right. So, any specific tournament sponsors we need to give a shout out to, or just regular Pepper sponsors?
The Wild Zone is still sponsoring a sportsmanship award.
Okay.
So on Sunday, we have the umpires pick out a team that shows the most sportsmanship for them. So we give a team in each age group an award from Wild Zone for the sportsmanship award.
I'll have to tell my players we'll be in the 14U division of the team that I coach. Yeah, and their best.
Coaches usually ruin it.
The coaches are the ones that ruin it for it. The kids are great. It's coaches and sometimes parents.
Yeah, parents. Well,
that's fantastic. Guilty. We got the Port Lite Peppers in it this year, which is
They're
great.
In it.
You know, they kind of go out to Denver every other year, so that's good to hear. Fall Frenzy, then? How about that?
The Fall Frenzy is the weekend after Labor Day.
Okay.
I think it's the 8th and 9th this year, or something like that.
7th and 8th.
7th and 8th. We have a one-day tournament where you come in, you play 3 games. So I set them up into 8-team brackets, and you just play that out.
Yeah, and it's all ages, right?
All ages, yeah. Usually the older ages are on Saturday, and the younger girls are on Sunday because of the fall league, the way they set their stuff up.
Well, that's fantastic. And how many teams did you say the Rising Star has?
Rising Star has 48 signed up this year.
And that's full, so that's like 160.
Right.
And May Madness had how many?
May Madness had 32.
So that's 192. And Fall Frenzy, what do we usually get for that?
Oh, we usually get about 40 or 50 teams there.
So we're talking 245 teams playing in Mankato, fast pitch youth softball this summer. What kind of economic impact could that be, Matt? I know you've worked on that in the past.
Years ago, Steve and I actually put a lot of work into that. When we were lobbying and trying to just get the word out of what the impact is for Peppers and their group, Steve did a great job. He would ask every coach when they came in where they're staying and how many rooms they had. And so it gave us a lot of data, and we had real data. You know, we knew exactly where everybody was staying, how many rooms we booked, and we put it together in a presentation or a PowerPoint. And now we also had at that time the Aussie Peppers coming in, but we had all these different things and events going on. And I wanted to say the biggest year we had was like it was around 4,400 hotel room nights. So that's at that time, Mankato had 1,100 rooms total, is what I was told by maybe it's the Sports Commission or Visit Mankato. So we would book, of all those tournaments throughout the whole summer and early spring, and then those other events that we'd have, including our umpires, they would take up a lot of rooms as well. But yeah, around 4,000 plus hotel room nights in a year.
Synonymous with Mankato and the impact that youth softball makes in this town. It's just unbelievable to think about every year. 250 teams coming, or 245.
Yeah, right.
So that's enough softball for right now. We're going to move on to our baseball cohort here, Chris Willert, and get an update on the baseball scene.
What you got, Chris?
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to 24/7 Diamond Talk. I am Chris Willert. You will notice at the moment I am all by myself. We're going to talk a little baseball here. Well, I'm going to talk baseball to myself, I guess. And then they will add this in to the rest of the episode. I have no idea if I'll be before or after softball, so I can't necessarily say we'll be right back or welcome back or whichever it is. But, yeah, that explains where we're at. Basically, really busy week in terms of schedules and stuff like that. And what I mean by that is not just actual life and work schedules and stuff, but I mean baseball, softball. There is a ton going on. Today is Wednesday. We've got section baseball going on today. Some sections have already started. They're a few days in. Likewise, tomorrow, Thursday, we got section championships in softball. Obviously, Big East versus New Ulm, and a number of other games that are going to be going on up at Caswell. And then section baseball continuing here for about a week and a half. But most of the softball stuff, I believe, wraps up already here in the next day or two here with their state tournament next week. So that being said, let's just get right into the baseball pieces itself. As I said, we are in section tournaments. I will recap a little bit regular season-wise, a couple of things that happened towards the end of the regular season last week. But we're going to just jump right in first with Section 2 in the AA class. As far as the baseball tournament itself, they've already got a couple of games underway, and basically where we're at right now on that one is in that Section 2. The number 1 seed, LeSueur Henderson, they have advanced to Thursday's, I guess you'd call it quarterfinal, kind of. It's not really the semifinal yet, but they've advanced to Thursday. They will take on the number 5 seed, Maple River. Maple River picking up an 8-4 win yesterday, I believe it was, over Sibley East. So a big one there for them. As I said, Maple River's the 5 seed, so you'll have the 1 versus the 5 in that one. And then over on the other side of the bracket, well, let's go down to the bottom side where the number 2 seed, Belle Plaine, they did advance. They beat up Waseca, the 10 seed, 11-1. Waseca had gotten by Triton a couple of days before that. So congrats to Waseca for getting past that. Likewise, got knocked off by Belle Plaine there. And Belle Plaine is going to be taking on the number 3 seed, and that's Lake Crystal Welcome Memorial. And Lake Crystal Welcome Memorial basically took Tuesday's game pretty dramatic fashion. A 3-2 walk-off win over TCU, Tri-City United. LCWM trailed 2-1 heading to the bottom of the 7th. They tied it up on an error, and then that scored Landon Sanderson, who had walked. Jack Brockman picked up a single, scoring Ethan Weens, and they picked up the walk-off win there. So a huge 3-2 come-from-behind win for LCWM there. Tough when you're trailing, 2-1 heading into the bottom of the 7th, and knowing that there's a lot on the line there. Both teams strong on the mound. Lake Crystal pitchers struck out 10, and TCU striking out 6. Lake Crystal, of course, captured, as I mentioned, the 3-2 lead in the 7th. And then Landon Sanderson had started on the mound for Lake Crystal. Gave up 4 hits and 2 runs over 5 2/3 inning, striking out 10. That kid is a strikeout machine, only walking 5. And then Brockman pitched 1 1/3 of shutout ball for Lake Crystal in relief and giving up 0 hits. Didn't strike out anybody, only walked 2, but got the job done there. So congratulations to Lake Crystal. As I said, they'll move on to take on Belle Plaine. The winner of Lake Crystal Belle Plaine and the winner of that LeSueur Henderson and Maple River game, that'll take place on the 1st. That'd be Saturday. And it looks like that one's set for 11 a.m. at LeSueur Henderson. Obviously, the losers of those games will drop into the losers bracket itself. Looks like the rest of the games for that section are taking place at LeSueur Henderson. And basically, it looks like all of those are taking place on the 1st. Saturday the 1st, and then Tuesday the 4th, the losers bracket will play out and determine who's playing in the actual championship on Thursday the 6th. So again, you got the 1 versus 5 on the one side, the 3 versus 2 on the other, and then playing back through on the other side, Blue Earth area, Sibley East, TCU, and Waseca. So good luck to everybody in that one. Obviously, definitely going to be an exciting one. Just real quick, before I get into sections, the sections with Loyola and East and West, I want to just comment real quick on something that I came across the other day, and this is something that happened over in Section 1 of Class 4A. 4A, of course, the biggest schools out there. You had number 2 New Prague the other night playing number 7 Rochester Century, and there's been a lot of stuff on social media about this game, and here's why. Basically, after the end of the 5th inning, it was 2-1, and New Prague had the lead. However, Century scored in the top of the 6th. Now, I want to mention one other thing. Game was in New Prague. So Century scores to make it tie it up 2-2 in the top of the 6th. So now we got a 2-2 ball game, right? Hey, yeah, we're cooking. Here we go. And Century's got a couple runners on, except that Mother Nature sometimes really sucks. And all of a sudden, we had absolute, well, when I say we did over here as well, but they did over there in New Prague, absolute downpours. They had some hail, they had downpours, and it had rained a lot in the previous 24 to 48 hours. So here we are, top of the 6th. As I said, it's 2-2. Game gets suspended. About an hour or two later, they determine we can't play it. We can't play it. It's too wet. Game over. Now, I also want to mention Rochester Century's athletic director was very much a part of the decision. He himself was quoted as saying, I tried to help them get the field cleaned up and ready. He said it just wasn't going to happen, and there was more rain coming. So the game is called 2-2, tie game, right? No, because the rule in baseball at the high school level is that if the game is tied, or basically what happens is at the point where you've passed the 5th inning, if both teams have not had an equal number of at-bats, you revert back to the previous full inning. What was the score after 5? 2-1 New Prague. New Prague wins. New Prague advances. I understand for Century's frustration, obviously. You got a lot of people out there saying, well, this is a stupid rule. We need to change it. Hey, by all means, if you think it's a stupid rule, go get it changed. But I also heard people saying we should ignore the rule. I don't really agree with that one. That rule's been around for a long time. It's existed. Everybody knew what it was. Everybody had the opportunity. I mean, you would have had previous opportunities to get it changed if you really wanted it changed, but we can't be changing rules in the middle of things just because we don't like them. So, unfortunate for Century. Century drops into the losers bracket on that one. New Prague pops over into the winners bracket. I believe they're actually playing this evening. So, good luck to all of them. Hey, good luck to Century. You played a great game. I hope you guys are able to come back through, and maybe you'll get another game against New Prague and get the opportunity there. So, that being said, let's move on to Section 2A, Section 2, Class A. That, of course, would be Mankato Loyola. Loyola, the 5 seed in that one. In that section itself, basically, you've got, I'll just run through the QRFs here for most of the teams that are left. You got number 3 in the state, Springfield. You got number 4, Sleepy Eye St. Mary's. You got number 10, New Ulm Cathedral. You got Loyola, who's in there at 27. You got Medelia in there at 22. Sleepy Eye at 14. You've got a ton of good teams there. And yesterday, Springfield beat Minnesota Valley Lutheran by a score 11-4, so they move on into, let's see, games on the 30th. So tomorrow it looks like they're playing. So Springfield now moves to 19-2. Again, they're number 3 overall in the state. Loyola knocked off New Ulm Cathedral yesterday. They have not been able to say that very often in the last few years. New Ulm Cathedral's kind of had their number. And congratulations to Loyola. They held on for the 8-7 win yesterday. So Loyola advances. They will now play that high seed, or play at the high seed Springfield. Over on the other side, and I'll recap that Loyola game here in just a second, but over on the other side of the bracket, Sleepy Eye St. Mary's beat the MLGHEC Truman, MLGHECT. They beat them yesterday by a score of 7-0. So Sleepy Eye St. Mary's is in the, I guess you call it, quarterfinals. Like I said, it's technically not a semifinal game yet. And then Medelia. Medelia was the number 6 seed, I believe. They knocked off the 3 Sleepy Eye. So congratulations to Jimmy Kiefer and crew there. Medelia 15-5 on the season, the 22. In that Loyola game, got a little hairy. Same thing. They had to do some coming from behind. Kind of back and forth, I guess I should say. Loyola had a 4-run lead early. Cathedral eventually tied it up. And then they jumped out to lead again. New Ulm Cathedral took the lead in the bottom of the third. So it was just kind of a back and forth affair. They captured the lead 7-4 and finally were able to stay on top of that. Basically, Christian Thunick at one point signaled scoring a couple runs. Cam Fogel sacked fly, scoring another run, and that kind of put him ahead and put him in the driver's seat for the rest of it. George Crimmins earned the win for Loyola on the mound. Surrendered 4 hits and 4 runs over 3 2/3 innings, striking out 7, walking 1. And TJ O'Malley had started the game for them, pitched really well over those first few innings. So congratulations to Loyola. And as I mentioned, Loyola now moves on. They will play the number 1 seed Springfield, and that game is on Thursday. That will take place in Springfield. Once you get past this next round on that one, it does appear that most of those games, in fact, the rest of the way, including the championship game itself, will be at ISG Field. Now, if you're wondering where all these schedules can be found, just real quick, all you need to do is pull out this handy little thing called your phone, go to your web browser, go to mshsl.org. Again, that's mshsl.org. And on the top right, you're going to see 3 little bars. You click on those, you click on tournaments, and then from there, you'll click section tournaments. And then once you're in that section tournament, it'll ask you which activity or section, or you can start searching schools and things like that. So if you're not following schedules that I'm throwing out there and everything, by all means, jump on your phone, go to the MSHSL website. You will find all the brackets right there. Very, very easy to find, easy to use. You'll see scores, you'll see the results, you'll find out where everybody is at. So now let's move on to the big dogs here. When I say the big dogs in our area, that's going to be Class AAA. That is going to be your East and West, Mankato East and West. Well, last time we were here, I mentioned a couple of things. That, first of all, West needed to win out in conference play. Excuse me. Whew, a little warm in here today. To win the Big 9 title outright. They needed to win out, meaning they needed to beat Austin, and they needed to beat Mankato East. East needed to win out to tie for the Big 9 title, to tie West, which meant they needed to sweep a doubleheader against a very tough Owatonna team, and then turn around and beat West, the number 1 ranked team in QRF in the final game of the season. West, of course, won the earlier matchup in the season 3-2. So East got things going by sweeping Owatonna 4-0 and 10-3. Nate Bridger got the W in game 1. Zach Bossy picked up 2 hits, scored twice, and Ainsley Stubbs picked up a couple RBI as well. In game 2, they turned around, did it again. Bossy did it again, going 3 for 4 with 5 RBIs. Keaton Wojcik picking up the W. Caden Willard throwing 2 scoreless one-hit innings to finish it. And West at that same time, well, a couple days earlier, but West slipped by Austin 2-1 in their final conference game, other than the one against East. Mason DeRose pitching the complete game gem, allowing just 5 hits and 1 run. So great job by Mason there. So that sets up the showdown. What are we talking about? East versus West. You know, whenever time I hear East versus West, I think heavyweight matchup. And then, of course, I start to think Rocky IV. And I think, is it East versus West or man against man? Can any nations? You've got to know that song. Please tell me you do. If you're listening along, it's, I mean, come on, Rocky IV? We're talking one of the most iconic movies ever. Anyway, East versus West. Here we go. And what a game it was. So Kaylor Chamberlain on the mound for West, Owen Stoopman for East. Two phenomenal pitchers. Kaylor, of course, was recently named to the senior all-star team, so he'll be playing in the All-Star Classic here in a couple weeks. Congratulations, Kaylor. Also, congratulations to Wilson Moggers for being selected for that as well. So, again, Kaylor Chamberlain, obviously, we're talking about a phenomenal pitcher there. Owen Stoopman, last year already as a sophomore, he was already all-conference honorable mention and everything, so he's had a heck of a season too. And this game did not disappoint. Scoreless through 4 innings. In fact, through 4, each team had like 2 base runners total. A lot of great defense, a lot of great pitching. Top of the 5th, 1 out. Talay Sartell starts it off with a single. Evan Mays walk, Jaden Knutson walk, Charlie Hooterlich singles and scores Sartell. We got 1-0. And then the next thing you know, Derek Sterling does what Derek Sterling does, and that kid can swing it, let me tell you. Sterling singles and scores Mays. So we got 2-0. East manages to get out of it there. And how did they do it? Well, Wilson Moggers was coming to the plate, one of their best hitters, but he hit the ball right to Nick Work. Nick Work, Caden Willard doing what they've done I don't know how many times this year. Those two up the middle. The defense has been phenomenal, turning the 6-4-3 double play to get out of the inning. without any other damage. So we got 2-0, and we're thinking on the east side, you're going, whew, all right, 2 runs is a lot because Chamberlain's dealing. However, bottom of 5, 1 out. Nick Work hit by pitch. Owen Stoopman triples to score him. Couple batters later, Zach Bossy, I mentioned his name earlier. The kid is swinging it all year long. Had a phenomenal season. Singles to score Stoopman, and now we got a tie game. So tie game after 5, 2-2 after 5. West turns the ball over to Jude Etter on the mound and relieve Chamberlain, while East goes to another lefty, Nathan Bridger. No scoring in the 6th and the 7th. We are through 7, 2-2. Tie ball game. We've got a conference championship on the line here, folks. Again, West wins the game. They're outright conference champions. East wins it. It's East versus West, or I shouldn't say East versus West. It's East and West tying for the conference championship. Never happened before. Each team has won a conference championship and stuff here and there, but pretty amazing to think that the 2 Mankato schools are fighting it out for the Big 9 championship on the last day of the season, and it's 2-2 at the end of 7. Well, what happens? West, we managed to get them to go down 1-2-3 in the top of the 8th, 3 straight ground balls. Great job by Nathan Bridger to work out of that and get the ground balls. One was a comebacker to him. One of them, a shot. It wasn't even so much of a shot. It was a great play by Zach Bossy over at third, and then another nice play at second base by Caden Willard to get the 3rd out of that inning. Bottom of the 8th, I'm not going to say the little guy. He's not the biggest guy on the team. He is fast. His name is Jack Hansen. Crushes a ball to right center. Wind was swirling a little bit. Unfortunately, Charlie Hooterlick almost made a play on it. And if you know Charlie Hooterlick, you know that kid's fast as well. So we got speed versus speed, but Hooterlick is not able to track it down. The next thing you know, it's a leadoff triple. Jack Hansen standing on third. A couple pitches later, pitch that went in the dirt. Somebody said pass ball. Another person said wild pitch. I don't know what it was, but I know that it went far enough past the catcher, got to the backstop. Jack Hansen scores. It's a walk-off win in 8 for East. East and West share the Big 9 conference crown. Now, the other thing that did is it changed the section seedings. And what I mean by that is coming into that game, realistically, East might have been the 3 seed, maybe only the 4. However, that propelled them to the number 2. West is the number 1 seed in 2 AAA. West will take on Worthington today at 5 p.m. So if you're listening to this a couple days later, just know it already happened. But 5 p.m. Wednesday, West versus Worthington. West 16-3, number 2 in the state in the QRF. Again, playing Worthington. Other side of that bracket, Albert Lee and St. Peter. Those are the 4 and the 5. They'll be playing each other tonight. And then over on the east side, first of all, Marshall, who did beat East earlier in the season. They will play New Ulm, and they will be playing over in Marshall. That'll be at 6 o'clock, I believe, or 6 o'clock today. And then Mankato East hosting Jordan. East did get the 2 seed. East 16-4, number 4 in the state QRF rankings. So think about that. When people say, is there good baseball in this area? I already talked about it in the Class A. We've got phenomenal baseball in this area. And then over on this AAA side of it, you've got number 2 in the state West, number 4 in the state East. The only real unfortunate thing about this is that between them and then you got Marshall and you got St. Peter who's playing really well. The only real unfortunate, it's great that we get to watch that great baseball. The unfortunate thing is only one of these teams is going to go to state. And realistically, the next time I'm recording one here, I don't think we'll know quite yet who it is. It depends on what day next week we actually do this. But it's one of those where we're going to find out pretty soon who it's going to be. And again, you got the number 1 seed West, the number 2 seed East, both playing well, ranked highly in the state. Man, baseball in this area is fun to watch. In that section 2, the 2 AAA, just real quick, first rounds are at home. So again, West will host. And then I believe Albert Lee is hosting, Marshall's hosting, East is hosting. Every other game the rest of the way will be at Johnson and Mueller over in New Ulm. If you've never seen a baseball game there, go check that one out, especially if you're a baseball lover. Johnson Park, one of the best parks in the state. Mueller, phenomenal playing surface. The only difference between the two, Johnson's the older one, and it's got the history and everything there. So go check it out. Like I said, mshsl.org. You'll find all the rest of the schedules. I'm Chris Willert. If you got any questions for me at all, feel free to email me, C as in Chris, my last name, WILLAERT, at farmers, FARMERS, AGENT.com. Go ahead and email me. I'll gladly make sure you get those schedules. I'm Chris Willert for 24/7 Diamond Talk. Have a great evening.
All right. Thanks, Chris.
One update there for
Yep.
baseball. We've got section baseball going right now as we record this. And right now, West is against Worthington there, 0-0, top of the first inning. And East, though, top of second, Zach Bossy has a sacrifice fly to put East up 1-0. So that's the latest on that. Yeah.
Some other news just today. Surprise to me. And a good friend of mine, Dan Nessler, resigned his position from Bethany. He was our guest last week, and and he was talking about next year and how this year was. So very good coach there. He texted me actually this morning and just said it's just time to move on. 8 years there and a lot of wins, 2 conference titles the last year. So he left Bethany better than when he found it, at least.
For sure.
And the competitiveness of the program. So we'll learn more
well,
about
not only
that.
that, look at the field now that they're playing at up there too. All the branding, we talked about that at the last podcast, but that facility looks immaculate.
They've got turf field.
Field. They've got an indoor facility. So yeah, definitely Bethany looks good for the future.
Yeah. So
Dan did a great job.
There, you got a new coach search underway right now, so we'll have some news down the road here. I would say within a month or two, I guess they would get somebody in place. On to women's summer collegiate league softball. Mankato Habaneros, I just checked the roster yesterday. I think there was 12 on the roster now. Big time signing I mentioned last week as Jessa Snippus, a pitcher from the Gophers, Gatorade Player of the Year in 2023, Minnesota High School softball. Probably Metro Player of the Year, Pitcher of the Year, probably Miss Softball. I'm not sure about all those awards, but she was highly decorated and won 2 state titles actually here in Mankato. And actually last year they didn't have too many close games, but she came down to our dome and scrimmaged Mankato East, and I coached the East team in that, and she beat us 1-0. So
her catcher
couldn't get a run on her, but
her catcher's coming too. Paige
Zender. Paige Zender, mostly first base nowadays, but used to be a catcher as well. But yeah, good offensive, good defensive player, a lot of power, big bat. A lot of Mankato people will recognize her. They just signed another catcher from UMD. They have like 4 pitchers on the roster right now, so I think they'll be all right. They need a few more to round it out. I don't think they're going to travel with 12, but so yeah, I mean, it's the first Midwestern Summer Collegiate Softball League, the Northwoods League. So it's not the only one in the country. In fact, Florida Gulf Coast League. Your daughter played last year for what was the name of her team?
The Circus.
Sarasota Circus. That's right.
Circus, yep.
And will she be going back this year again?
Yeah, she's going to go back. So when she jumped in the transfer portal, I mean, we were trying to make a plan and what do you have to do and where should you be to try to help yourself get recruited again? But it's a blitz when you're in the transfer portal because sneaking up on you, I believe it's May 30th, is a blackout for coaches. So there's, I don't know if you call it blackout or what but it's a silent period where not a lot happens. And so she thought, okay, if I'm not recruited or in by then I better have a plan. And so, certainly the habaneros and all those things are another good option, I think, for that. But, it's what you know, and she was in the Florida Gulf Coast League.
She wants to go to the beach.
Well, there's no doubt there's that too. And I think mom is all in on that too. But so she's going back, but she's just doing a short stint there, a few weeks. They also had a combine, I'll say, and she was going to work up into that and join that. And if she hadn't been recruited by then, that might be an opportunity to get in front of a lot of coaches. So, and I think, I assume that habaneros will start to work stuff in like that as well. But there are quite a few leagues starting now, certainly with the Northwoods. But in talking with the director of the league down in Florida, he has 2 other leagues, one in the Carolinas and he's got one in California. So they're definitely expanding all over the country. And there was an existing one in Nashville, and I think they tried to start one in Omaha. I don't know how that went, but
so Maddie's really taken advantage of the full college softball experience.
Oh yeah, there's more opportunity now than
summer league and all that. Yeah, so that's great. That's great, paving the way maybe for some future youth right now that might be 10U or whatever. I mean, you can play softball for a long time. You can play it in the summer, even when you're over 18U.
I'm really hoping that habaneros league takes off.
Yeah, me too.
The Northwoods. I think that there is a future there in I'll say minor league or another avenue for softball beyond just college for some players. That's Caitlin Clark. Look what she did to basketball and WNBA's all over your social media and everything now. maybe there'll be a path that way.
It's going to happen. You know, it gets a little bit better every year with different pro leagues, you know, kind of fledgling, or some had good longer runs, some shorter, but there's multiple opportunities all the time. And especially coaching too, and doing camps, you know, for women's softball players. And so Thursday night, we have, tomorrow night, we have section finals up at Caswell. The games are at 5 o'clock. The team from the losers bracket has to beat the team that's in the chair right now, which is New Ulm Cathedral, Lake Crystal Welcome Memorial, and Mankato East. They have to lose twice. I want to watch the Timberwolves at 7:30, and I love softball. I got my T-Wolves hat on. Go Wolves, Game 5. Also, the College World Series Division I starts Thursday night.
Yep.
So there's a lot going on Thursday night. So, you know, I won't be sad if those teams win, though we want Mariah and USC to,
absolutely,
you know, give New Ulm Cathedral a run for sure.
What are we going to do in 2 weeks, you know, when all this stuff is done?
Oh, it's crazy right now.
It
but
is.
Yeah, the College World Series is ready to go. It'll be the most watched TV again this year. It'll break every record it set last year down in Oklahoma City at the field. Have you ever been there, Steve?
Not down there, not to that field, no. But
I've been there, never played a game on it, but or never coached a game on it. How about you, Matt?
No, I have not. We'll see. Outside chance I have an opportunity to get some tickets this year. But more to report on that in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I went to Hall of Fame. I've been there twice. The Hall of Fame is there as well in Oklahoma City.
Actually, you brought home, remember bringing home that program, and it had peppers in the program.
Oh, right. Yeah, I saw that
Yeah.
there. Yeah, I was in Oklahoma City. My daughter Tori is playing for Minnesota State down there in a regional and NCAA tournament, and we ended up buzzing over to, we were at another town close to there, but we went to Oklahoma City, and it was unbelievable. So
yeah, the program you pick up in the first page inside it is that it was a year before, maybe, or 2 years before that, our Peppers 14U team my daughter was on. We had Lainey Shopper, we had Abby
that was a good
Sterling.
team. Matt Shopper was a coach. I think.
Ryan Fritz. We had just a great team of kids there, and they were in the front page of that, looking in there when they won the Northern National that year in Rochester.
All right. Well, that's all we have tonight. Anything else to add, Steve? Anything you want to talk about?
no, we're just hope people come down and watch the games. There's no charge to come in and watch,
right.
so that's always a good thing. You know, so there's going to be games all over the place.
It's not like
whatever age
sections or state tournament where you got to pay to get in. But.
Yeah, you come in free, watch. You can also go on Casual Sports and watch them on TV.
Oh, yes.
I know we have at least a dozen Canadian teams that come in, and they try. The parents back home are able, and grandparents can watch their daughters.
Well, I know what
play
I was
up
going
at
to ask.
Caswell.
What other states are coming with teams
We've got
this year?
Nebraska, South Dakota, North Dakota, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Canada, Manitoba.
All right. Well, that's quite a spectacle. 112 teams coming July 4th. But first, we got to get through 48 teams at the Rising Stars. And that'll be fun to watch as well.
That'll be fun, too.
Don't forget to sign up and get out there on this new
turf
showcase.
field.
Well,
Showcase.
getting that showcase out there. I think Dan's did a good job of.
Yeah, he's probably still
promoting
running
that.
I would guess. But,
Yeah, he definitely is. I talked to him this morning about that. But
good.
that's something that we'd like to see.
we need some more signups for that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
something that we added to the Classic this year, or Dan did, or
Dan
talking
did.
to Steve and the board. So,
Yep.
but thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next week. This is episode 8. I'm Tom. This is Matt. This is Steve. That's Chris, and we're signing off.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.